Hello, everyone. So I wanted to come back on and talk about some things. So one of the things I want to talk about today is the language assessment. Let's talk about the language assessment with the Rise. Before I get into this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Basically, what I'm going to talk about is the language assessment. When you register or when you sign up with the Rise under an IBO, there are different clients that you can work for. There's several different clients, an average of 10 to 15 clients on the portal that you can work for. Each client has it to where you do have to go through their assessment. I already talked about the voice assessment. I've talked to you about how to pass the voice assessment. So make sure you go back and watch the videos on how to pass certain things with the Rise. I've talked to you about the background check, the technical check. So I have videos on all of those. So make sure you go back and watch those as far as how to pass those and what it is that you need in order to pass. How to easily pass a lot of that stuff. I got the requirements for technical checks, so make sure you watch those videos. So the language assessment is pretty much like the last part that you have to do with the Rise. So you have voice assessment, technical check, and then language assessment, or background check and then language assessment. Maybe not in that order, but the language assessment is the last thing that you have to do. I do want to point out that you do not have to pay anything as far as training fees unless you pass everything. So you have to pass all the assessments. So that's number one I wanted to point out. Number two, the language assessment is categorized and built according to that particular client. So for example, I can just use my company. If we were on the portal looking for call center agents for Babysitters of Charlotte, we would have an assessment pertaining to certain skills that we're looking for. So if we're looking for someone to be on the phones or typing, some of the tests do talk about, certain shortcuts that you can use to get, like on your keyboard, shortcut keys that you can use to get, like how to print something really fast versus using your mouse, how to copy and paste using your keys on your keyboard. So stuff like that, that's part of some of the language assessment. Those are the basic language assessments. So you may want to kind of study up on that. A lot of people, you learn a lot of this in high school. I know all high schools are not the same, but I know I learned about a lot of it in high school. Like I've learned Microsoft Office, PowerPoint, Word, Excel. We learned all of that in high school. I think it was like the 11th or 12th grade. And then when I went to college, we learned it again. So a lot of that stuff they teach you on that in high school or in college. A lot of that stuff is stuff that you already knew. You just have to refresh your memory and then probably come back to you on the language assessment when they ask certain things like how to do a shortcut for printing, or how to do a shortcut for copying and pasting, or how to do a shortcut for whatever it is, screenshot, stuff like that. So those are some of the questions that they may ask you depending on language assessment. All the language assessments are not the same. Okay, I do want to point that out. All of them are not the same. So for example, for the tax client that they have on the portal, they do ask you questions in relations to taxes. And a lot of stuff is some stuff you may know and some stuff you may not know. You may not know what a 1040 is, or you may not know what earned income credit is, or you may not know some of those things. But a lot of the times people already know. A lot of the times people already know what those things are because they're either have prepared their own taxes, or they have they just heard it through the years. So I do get a lot of people to pass the tax assessment, language assessment. And I do get people who are already tax preparers, and it's a breeze for them to go through the language assessment for that. It is so many different assessments. It's another client on there who talks about accounting. So they ask accounting questions. So, and it may be basic accounting. Like I've learned accounting in college. We, went through accounting 1 and accounting 2, but some people haven't. So, because we do have a client on there who does, who need like a call center agent for accounting. So it just depends on what you have learned, I guess, previously when you go do these assessments. What other clients are on there? So, yeah, just make sure you kind of like get yourself familiar with Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word, different shortcuts, typing, anything like that. If you're looking to do the tax client, make sure you get familiar with, earned income credit. Make sure you get familiar with certain things, exemptions, all kind of stuff. But even if you don't know a lot of that stuff, a lot of people do pass. I rarely have it where people fail. It's been a while I've seen someone fail the language assessment. What else can I tell you? So I think that's it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Just kind of keep a positive outlook on, passing the language assessment, because you do have to pass the language assessment in order to go to the next step. Oh, one last thing. There is some technical issues that people have with the language assessment. I will tell you that. Lately I've had it to where people have taken the language assessment and don't, like it's like the system or the portal, Arise portal, is not taking it. So they'll take the language assessment and they say they still need to take it. Like they haven't, it's like sitting on the portal saying, okay, you need to retake it, or it's like you haven't completed it. Shall I say? That's what I'm looking for. You haven't completed it. So they'll retake it and retake it and retake it and retake it and retake it. But don't do that. What you can do is reach out to technical support or enrollment support. If you have that issue in relation to the language assessment, I've had a person who took it 3 times. One time they failed it, but the very last time they passed it. So Arise allowed them to take the passing score. So it was kind of like a benefit to them to actually taking it 3 times and then passing it, failing it 1 time, then passing it the second time. But I'm just letting you know that could be a glitch, because it have happened to more than one person that I've actually dealt with. Also, when you sit down and take the language assessment, make sure you're ready to take it. Because if you stop in the middle, I've had a person who actually stopped in the middle of the language assessment and restarted their computer, and when they got back on, they had to restart all the way over. So make sure you are taking the language assessment serious, and make sure you do it in one setting. It takes about, I would say, 15 to 30 minutes, depending on your knowledge of whatever questions that they're asking. It takes about 15 to 30 minutes, I would say, to complete the language assessment. Anytime you are enrolling in a course, make sure you complete, if you click on interested in that course, you pick a training time, you start the voice assessment, you start the technical check, you pass all that, and you start I think the background check is actually last, but you start the language assessment, you complete that, and then you do the background check. Make sure you complete that in 48 hours. The background check may take longer. I'm sorry, not the background check, the drug test. Some of them do drug tests. Now they have it to where the background check is done in the beginning, so you don't have to worry about the background check. And this is 2019, where they switched it back. This is November 2019. They switched it back to the background check, but in the middle, in the beginning. Now, if you have to do a drug test, it may take longer. But all of that being said, make sure you complete it within 48 hours, if not 24 hours. Because I don't want you to do all of that, because it happened to someone before. They did all of that, and they did the, I think it was they was waiting for the drug test to come back. It was waiting for something to come back, and the thing closed, the training closed, because it gets filled up. And that sometimes happen if you're lagging your feet on certain things, or if you're not really, really focused. But if you think about it, you go ahead and get it out the way. Go ahead and get enrolled in training, because sometimes training is not right away. Sometimes, even though you are enrolling in a course, it may be 3 weeks or 2 weeks before training starts. So it may be 2 or 3 weeks before training starts. So if that's the case, just go ahead and get it out the way. Don't wait until the last minute, because what happens is training may close, training may fill up, and you don't want to miss that opportunity because you just never know when that opportunity may come back on the portal. We never know. I can't tell you how many times people ask me, well, when is this coming on the portal? We don't control the portal. It's not our portal. It's a Rise portal. So they control what comes on there. We don't control that. So I just make sure I let people know. But make sure you like this video, comment any comments, anything you want to say. Also, make sure you subscribe to my channel. But thank you for watching and